I first came to Brazil 20 years ago, and there was no Mídia Ninja, and I didn't visit a house like this, which is incredible, and I was not able to meet incredible people like the two of you. I had a much more conventional time here because I came to cover the election campaign of Lula, and I was bewildered at the time, didn't quite know what was happening. Very difficult for people around the world to understand the politics of a country like Brazil, one of the largest countries in the Americas, a very decentralized country, very fragmented country in its own way. You know, what you see in São Paulo is not exactly what's happening in other parts of the country and so on. So it was hard for me to understand it. This time I'm in a different place personally and as a journalist, and I have a real sense that Brazil, like many countries in the world, is at a place of great risk. There's enormous desolation around the world. People are just feeling demoralized. We're not sure what the project of being human is anymore. The climate is destroyed. As we speak, 60% of Pakistan is underwater. We just don't know what we're alive for. What's the project? You have young people go to school. What are they in school for? There's forest fires in the Amazon. There's floods here and there. There's immense poverty everywhere. What are we around for? And then because there's this demoralization and desolation, somebody like Bolsonaro appears. Bolsonaro is a product of desolation. Bolsonaro is the mirage in the desert. In a desert, you're looking for water. There's no water, but you see something that looks like a pond. You go running to that thing that looks like a pond, and it's actually Bolsonaro. And there's nothing to drink there. He doesn't have anything for you to drink. Well, you're lucky, unlike many parts of the world, and whatever people's political opinion of Lula is actually something like a date palm tree in the desert. You go there and you can pull the date palm. And why? Because, look, in a situation of desolation, and in my conversations with people like Fernando Haddad, who's going to be perhaps the next governor of São Paulo state and so on, what I've learned is that these are people who are sincere about doing something. Now, we can disagree about what the something should be, but they're serious about doing something about turning us away from desolation. That's what I feel in Brazil now. You are, in a way, sitting at a risky choice between the continuation of desolation and people who have no desire to change things, and people who are sincere about changing things. Now, again, you can disagree about how they want to change things, but they're certainly sincere. You're lucky. Most parts of the world, India and so on, there are no choices easily available to people. Obviously, there are people sincere about changing things, but they cannot easily contest what the Algerians call pouvoir, the power. You see, one of the things that people confuse is they confuse the possibility of changing something with the actual conditions for making those changes happen. Right now, the conditions for making a proper left policy is not available so easily. So, you get a Gabriel RG in Chile, you get the Frente Amplio, you get, Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez in Colombia. Gustavo Petro is a decent, good leftist. He is a leftist, that's what he is. Francia Marquez is an incredible person, an incredible defender of the social movements and so on. Colombia is a wretched country because it has a ruling class that's vicious, nasty, racist, brutal, has killed, I don't know how many people. Honestly, I haven't checked Wikipedia to see how many social movement leaders have been killed in Colombia. It's a wretched, in the last year, yesterday. It's a wretched situation. But, these people are desperately trying to be in government. Now, it's not that we must rely on Petro, Boric, Lula. We can't rely on them to make history. They are in government. The movements need to create new roads. The movements have to create the roads. And I feel in a electoral system, you elect a Petro and then the movement say, well, Petro, do this, that and the other. No, 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 no. Wait a minute. Go back to the streets. Change the balance of forces in society. Explain to people that their blocking of a government policy is a problem. Go out there and show another road that's possible and then force the government to take that road. You see, movements can't demobilize when you elect somebody that's good. I think the lesson, and I'm not a Brazilian, I have not lived through the Brazilian reality, but you elect a Lula, you elect a Dilma. These are incredibly sincere people. But was the movement mobilized while they were in office? Or had it relatively demobilized itself, waiting for Lula Livre campaign to recompose, waiting for the fight against the possibility of military rule to recompose, now fighting to bring Lula to office? Will this mobilized left remain mobilized after the election, fight to change the balance of forces? I mean, somebody told me a story about the Brazilian middle class consciousness. They said, there's a middle class man, went into his living room, met a genie there. The genie said to the middle class man, I'll give you a wish, only one wish. Middle class man got excited. Genie said, but there's a condition. I'll give you a wish, but whatever you ask for, I'll give your neighbor double. Mm-hmm. So what did the middle class man said? The middle class man said, take my eye. Take my eye. Because that's the wretched thing that capitalism produces. Yeah. It produces a sense that, you're not in solidarity with your neighbors. You hate your neighbors. You want to be better than your neighbors. That's the condition in which we live. The movements have to change that. They have to rescue the collective life. They have to rebuild society. Only then can a Petro or even a Boric do something. So I say we're not really in a situation where we can say, oh, there's a pink tide in Latin America. No, there are just left people who are winning elections. Yeah. Left people are winning elections. Mm-hmm. Now the movements have to actually create the tide. An election is not a tide. Chavez won an election in Venezuela in 1998, 99. He came to office and so on. But Chavismo was not Chavez as the president alone. Chavismo was the people agitated and mobilized to be the election, referendum, defense of the Chavez government in 2002, the coup and so on. Yeah. That's what a pink tide is, or whatever you call it, whatever color tide. That's what it is. People on the go, collective life rescued. That's the centrality, not just the election. Although, by the way, the election is very important. So I very much hope people don't say, oh, well, the election is not important. You want to live for more years under Bolsonaro? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I recommend to people on the left who say, oh, I have this problem, that problem with Lula. Take it easy, guys. Relax. This is not the time for your personal preferences. Politics isn't about going shopping and saying, I want to buy Coca-Cola, not Pepsi-Cola, or whatever drink you want to buy. Politics isn't shopping. Politics isn't your consumer preference. Politics is a serious, serious game. It has deep implications for people's lives.